Australians on the Western Front by Lachlan Ashby. World War I was a global war originating in Europe that lasted from 28th of July 1914 to 11th of November 1918, and with more than 70 million military personnel were mobilized in one of the largest wars in history. For Australians, they joined to become better allies with Great Britain, even though the fight began soon after the assassination of the heir to the Austrian throne by a Serbian nationalist. Austria threatened to punish Serbia, an ally of Russia, which Austria was an ally of Britain, causing the two Central Powers to fight on the behalf of their loyalties to each other. With only 324,000 enlisted in Australia, which is a lot compared to Australia's population, sources must be analysed to reveal more about Australians on the Western Front experiences. Source A, Beaumont Hamel, 1916 photograph, is a primary source which is showing the soldier sleeping/resting in a hole dug in the ground. The soldier on the right is writing something, maybe to family or writing in his journal, but either or the Australian soldiers on the Western Front had nothing to do in their free time. The creator of the source is unknown, but because it was a photograph, the importance is rose. Because the photos were hard to come by unless they were for an article or information for the people back home. Photographs were taken for the audience back home with family and friends in the war. The photo source shows that the Australian soldiers slept in dirty holes and were constricted to writing in their own time, because of the horrible and hard lifestyle they had if they lived another day. Source shows that Australian soldiers had horrible experiences and that the war did not end in 1918 for the soldiers. Well, it did not end in their heads. Source B is a primary source, which is an extract of the private diary of Australian soldier Victor Richardson on November 4, 1916. Victor Richardson was a part of the Light Horse Brigade, which was a cavalry and mounted infantry. Victor Richardson was most likely wrote in a diary to get the experiences off his chest, and because there wasn't really anything else to do other than sleep in his own time. The diary was highly likely created for himself because he could. The source shows the repeated bombing and different types of regiments. The diary extract paints a picture in our minds with this part. We were sitting on our horses and facing the mine, awaiting our turn to unload, when one passed over our heads and burst into the trench right alongside our wagon. Luckily, on account of dropping on the trench being just soft dirt, we were only splashed with mud. Had it dropped on the road on the other side of the wagon, we would all have gone up with the angels or somewhere else. This is showing the near-death experiences and the blinding warfare, helping the historians understand Australians on the Western Front experiences. Source X has an ambulance carrying the wounded on September 2nd, 1918, but by early 1916 recruiting in Australia had risen to replace the Anzacs losses. The photo was taken as a primary source for the reassurance of the winning of the war, and by better safety for the Anzacs. As the end of the war neared, this photo shows how the surviving troops had better medical help on the Western Front because of the strengthened forces in France. The casualties clearing station took the photo for troops and people back home. The photo was taken to finish off the war and reassure Australia and the troops. The source shows that when the war came close to an end, that the troops had died were replaced to finish it off, which shows Australians on the Western Front who survived had to face it to the end with horrible experiences.